Hi, we're here with Sally Hawkins, who is a colon hydrotherapist, an iridologist and a homeopath. And today she's going to talk a little bit about colon therapy or colon hydrotherapy. So what is... It's a funny topic, isn't it? Because it's one of those things that whenever you talk about, like if I say to somebody, you know, I'm going to go and have colon hydrotherapy or a colonic, it's like, oh, you know, there's sort of that response, that sort of uncomfortable response of almost like, why are you discussing this with me, Drew?
That's right, and I think a lot of people think that what they put in their mouth comes straight out the other end, and you know, a lot of people have said to me, what's the point in having a colonic? It doesn't just go straight through anyway. And the fact is that often it doesn't go straight through. It looks quite small, but if you stretch that out, that's actually, your bowel is actually longer than you are tall. So there's a fair bit of area for things to go wrong in there and for impaction to happen. So doing a colonic, obviously clearing out the colon, we're going to get your fresh food coming out, so that's the stuff you've eaten in the last 24 hours. That kind of stuff is the stuff that's going to come through anyway, but it's the older stuff, the things that are days, weeks, months, or even years old. That's the stuff that we're looking at really trying to get rid of during a colonic.
So you could be basically intoxicating your system without even being aware of that.
Exactly. It'll sit there, it will ferment and putrefy, and it causes toxicity in the system. And your symptoms can be quite varied. You know, you might be getting headaches, feeling a little bit tired, having a few skin issues, and sometimes it's very mild symptoms that can be just due to that toxic effect in the gut.
Why do people come to see you, Sally?
So basically, colonics are good for anything that's going to benefit from a detox. People just think that colonics are all about cleaning out the colon, but it actually does so much more than that. With all the activity that goes on in the colon, the massage and everything else, we're actually stimulating the internal organs as well. So you do find after a colonic that your liver starts dumping out toxins, and your lymphatic system as well, which is responsible for getting the toxic waste at a cellular level, that starts dumping out waste as well. So that's why people feel really good after a colonic. It's not just that they feel lighter in the tummy and they've got, you know, flat stomach. They've actually cleared their head, they've got more energy. Some people say that they think they can see better even. So on all levels, it's giving your body a very effective detox in a very short amount of time.
I've heard that colonics are incredibly beneficial for people that suffer from neurological issues such as anxiety, depression, you know, ADHD.
One chap recently, actually, I can think of, who came in presenting with severe depression and anxiety. He'd gone Western medical route, tried different antidepressants, didn't feel right on them. He said he just didn't like it to feel like his brain was kind of shut down. So he knew his diet wasn't great. He felt like he wanted to do a detox. He was having some gut issues as well, just a little bit bloated. So we did 1 colonic a week for 3 weeks. He was in a 4-week detox program as part of that. Just healthy eating really, cutting out anything that was processed, sugar, gluten, that kind of thing. And after the first week he came back in here. He was a little bit better. He said, I'm not feeling that great, I'm not sure if it's working. Second colonic, when he came back for his second visit, he said, feeling fantastic, been out for big bike rides all this week, not needing my afternoon naps anymore. He was somebody that was sleeping a lot, very lethargic. And then by the end of the 4th week, he's a different person, absolutely a different person. No anxiety, no depression, waking up early to go out cycling in the morning. And yeah, so that just shows what a detox can do for someone on that emotional, mental level as well.
There's a direct relationship with dopamine within the stomach and obviously the brain.
That's right, your neurotransmitters in the brain are very linked up to gut health. So it's been shown that we produce most of our serotonin in the gut, and serotonin is that happy hormone, so it keeps us feeling good and feeling calm. So anything that's going wrong in the gut is going to affect how we feel mentally. And there's also a correlation with the types of bacteria that we've got in the gut. So the balance between the good and the bad. And there's certain bacteria in your gut that if you have too many of them, that can cause anxiety as well. Anxiety and depression, confused thinking, foggy head. I can think of things like Candida, Streptococcus, Enterococcus, different bugs that can actually overgrow in the bowel because there's an imbalance or there's too much old stuff that we're hanging on to. So by clearing out the bowel, we get a better balance. A cleaner bowel means that the good bacteria can flourish, and we help to crowd out the not so good bacteria, and we actually get a clearer head. We feel calmer. People don't actually realise that link with the gut, and it's very important.
It also helps with psoriasis and all that sort of stuff.
Definitely, yeah, very good for health problems. I have one chap actually who came and presented with very dry, itchy hands, dermatitis, so bad it would crack and bleed. And he had read something about colonics and that it can be good for skin, and he was a little bit sceptical, but he thought he'd give it a try. I told him to do a set of 3. I also told him to make some changes in his diet, which he didn't. So this was purely on the colonics. He had 1 colonic a week for 3 weeks. And then I never saw him again for 3 months. 3 months later he came back in, and I said, what brought you back? And he said, after those 3 colonics, my hands completely cleared up. And he said, it's been 3 months, and he said, I can just see those cracks starting to come back in. So, he didn't change his diet. Normally, especially with skin, I would make some recommendations, but that's just purely because we rebalanced the bacteria with the colonics, gave him a good clean out, and it was enough to fix the toxicity that was causing that skin issue.
I really appreciate your time today because it's really interesting. What's your website?
My website is www.clearcolonics.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.